we see their body growing, but their brain is growing and changing and developing. And they honestly, like if you say, what are you thinking? They might not really be thinking, because there's just like so much, they're running into walls because their body's changing. So there's so much growth and change.
I always kind of giggle because I'm like, what is preteen? Like, so today we'll think within the mind of these, these shift. When the shift starts to happen, that's what we're talking about today. In fact, that is kind of what I want to talk about, is because, we have these hormones that hit, and with the hormones come a lot of different emotions, and we kind of have extremes. So let's start with like the more explosive of the emotions. I figured we could kind of talk about anger. You're definitely an expert in that area since you've written a few books about.
I don't like being an expert on anger, Kristi.
I'm sorry. Well, you personally, yes, I know you are. I'm so sorry. But yes, no, but you are an expert and you have written about it, which means you have researched it, and you have 10 kids, and you have kids in the foster care system. So you know a thing or two about angry children, or anger that kind of comes forward in life. So what are some ways that parents can really respond when their preteen starts acting out, like whether it's yelling or shutting down or just snapping off, and all the beautiful things we have to look forward to when we hit this age?
And I think it's a surprise to people, because especially if kids didn't have anger before, like explosive, all kids get angry, but like it's a different thing when you have the preteen years. First of all, we talked about hormones. All the hormones are raging. And I know, women go through hormonal changes, and there's some days I would just be mad. I don't know why. So I understand that. But then it's boys and girls. So it's not just girls, boys. All their hormones are changing, but also the brain development. I want to jump in here because it's part of the anger. Their brain is developing at the same rapid time as like newborn age, and then that terrible 2 age, the preteen age, their brain is developing. So we see them growing. I mean, my 14-year-old went to like this tall to my ears to now he's taller than me in 6 months. So we see their body growing, but their brain is growing and changing and developing. And they honestly, like if you say, what are you thinking? They might not really be thinking, because there's just like so much, they're running into walls because their body's changing. So there's so much growth and change. So just knowing that there might be parents that are like, I'm shocked because this child never would yell or roll their eyes, or sweet little Bella all of a sudden just had the worst attitude. I'm like, where did you come from? And so just know like it's every child, right? It's every child. It's also a time when they're wanting more independence. And that's kind of a pushback too with the anger. And I think one of the things with anger is, first of all, we just have to stay calm. And so one thing that I tell myself, and I've talked to other parents, is like, when you stay calm, you win. And when we get upset, even if they're yelling or rolling their eyes, we could go into lecture mode. We can follow them to the room. You don't talk to me that way. That is not going to help anything. But when we stay calm, we win, and we're able to regulate them. And so kids, just like when we have a little baby, when they're crying and fussing and dysregulated, we bounce them. And preteens need us to regulate them, not in the same way. We're not going to go to a 12-year-old. I know. And just by us staying calm and also naming their emotion, like you're angry. And that can move it from by stating their emotion, and they might say, I'm not angry, I'm mad. Okay, you're mad. Why are you mad? And turning it around and asking questions about what's going on, what's happening with them, and then they'll start talking. So there's the emotional brain, and then there's the thinking brain. If they're in their emotional brain, they're upset, they're angry, they're crying, any emotions that seem like over the top, but it's very real to them, but over the top to us. If we stay in that emotional mindset and we get emotional too, it just keeps like we're just circling all the emotions. But when we say, if we state the emotion, which we think it is, we might not even be right, but we state the emotion, and then they might say, I'm not angry, I'm sad, or I'm not mad, I'm upset because the neighbor said that homeschoolers are stupid, or whatever it is. It moves from the emotional brain to the thinking brain, because then they start communicating. So we start a conversation. And I think that is really helpful. Also, we don't have to solve anything in the moment. So letting them go away We'll talk about this later. I understand you're upset. I think you just need a little time to have some me time, and put it in, not say go to your room and calm down, but maybe you just need a little time just by yourself for a little bit. Putting it in those type of ways really help. And it helps them to, first of all, take that space to figure out what's going on. Because sometimes they don't even know what's going on. And often when I don't lecture, I don't try to like fix the problem in the moment. I don't argue. I don't tell them that's not the way you treat me. It just happened yesterday with one of my kids, and they come back 45 minutes later. I'm sorry I talked to you that way.
Yes.
I forgive you. And so I think we really have to kind of pull back and then just be curious about what's going on, asking questions. And again, they might not have an answer, but at least they're thinking about it. But anytime we say calm down, I mean, I know if I'm upset and someone says calm down, no, I'm going to show you why I'm mad. So that never helps. So saying calm down doesn't help, but stating their emotion and giving them space to figure out really will help during these years.
That's so incredible. Yeah, I feel like we forget that we are very hormonal and we don't always make sense, and we have emotions and feelings that get the best of us as well. And so they're just for the first time really experiencing this with the extremes, having the hormonal influence. Because I know even as I'm in a ministry where I try to help adults figure out, different emotional traumas. And so a lot of that is naming what emotion got triggered. And half the time they're like, I don't know what I was feeling. I don't, so I love this because it's like if we start helping our kids identify what it is they're feeling and what's at the heart of it, oh my goodness, that's going to help them into adulthood. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we can offer later to pray. Can I pray with you about that? Or
yes.
Do you need some encouragement about that? I remember how when I was your age, I felt that too. And just be empathetic with them. We could point them to scripture, but not in the moment, like, you're supposed to respect your parents. Like that doesn't help them.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.